Is 150 margaritas too many?
A man drink like that and he don't eat, he is going to die.
Obviously, yes. Please do not drink 150 margaritas. Today, we're diving into the margarita madness I encountered on vacation, exploring whether too much choice is really a good thing. We were recently at the JW Marriott in Cancun. In their lobby bar, they feature a menu of 150 unique margaritas. These range from the classic lime margarita to fusions like a limoncello margarita, all the way to exotics like the margarita al pastor. As I love creative mixology, I spent way too much time studying this list and plotting my nightly game plan to work our way through the list. As I stared at the giant poster of margaritas, I noticed others come and go. People would stop and think, wow, that's a lot of margaritas, and then walk away. There's no way they read more than a couple recipes, let alone had time to dissect the menu's organization. We typically think more choices are better. Just like the endless margarita menu, e-commerce has flooded us with options. But does more choice really lead to better decisions? Or does it paralyze us? With e-commerce and quicker shipping, we have near immediate access to more options than ever. As a consumer, how does having more choices impact your process? From the seller's perspective, what can they do to increase sales and consumer satisfaction? Add more choices? Does that actually help sales? It seems logical that more options would be better. As a seller, if you have a broader selection, you're more likely to offer the exact solution for each individual. But is that the case? Think about how you shop and make decisions. Let's start online. How many of you have bought something on Amazon recently? Were any of those items not on the first page? For example, let's do a quick search for margarita glasses. I see there's over 3,000 options and my first page shows just 48. If you scroll through all these, how many of you click to the second page? According to Contimod, 70% of you never go beyond page 1. In fact, 35% of shoppers click on the first product, with 64% of all choices coming from the first 3 options the Amazon algorithm shows you. Is that because the algorithm is so good? Or are you so lazy that there's no way you're spending time scrolling through 62 pages of margarita glasses to find your perfect match? As Amazon might think, to again quote Blazing Saddles,
You are so talented, and they are so dumb.
chances are, if you're not satisfied with the results, you're going to refine your search potentially even before scrolling past this initial screen. This isn't just online. We save ourselves a world of decision fatigue and mental anguish by opting out when confronted with overwhelming choices, or apply other heuristics or mental shortcuts to make our lives easier. We often apply conscious or even subconscious filters to keep us from being overwhelmed. Consider the following scenario. Imagine you walk into your regular grocery store and just inside, there's a table set up with 6 different jams. An employee invites you to try as many as you'd like, and you get a coupon for 25% off jam. Do you stop? If you do stop, how many jams do you try? What if, instead of 6 jams, there were 24 different varieties? Would you be more or less likely to stop? How many jams do you try now? And in which situation would you be more likely to purchase jam? Does having more choices really encourage sales? I mean, obviously, if there's 24 options, you're more likely to find your jam Cinderella, right? This hypothetical was the basis for one of the essential studies on the impact of choice and sales by Iyengar and Lepper in 2000. They found that having a table with more choices resulted in about 50% more people stopping to try the jam. Makes sense. A bigger table of 24 jams looks way more impressive than just 6 jars sitting out. However, the number of jams each person tried was statistically identical, with each person only sampling about 1.5. Having 4 times the choices offered didn't affect the number of trials. Okay, cool, so people tried the same number. What was the impact on sales between the 2 scenarios? In the case of the 6 sample table, 30% of consumers purchased a jar of jam. So what happened for the 24 sample scenario? It's quiz time. In the case of 6 samples, 30% of consumers purchased. What percent of consumers purchased jam when there were 4 times as many products to try? Did it double to 60%? Stay the same at 30%, decrease by half to 15%, or decrease by 90% to 3%? The answer is D. When more samples were offered, sales conversion dropped to just 3%. When I first heard this result, I was shocked. How could more options lead to a 90% drop in sales? So why is this? While the big table of samples drew more people in, each person still only tried about the same 2 samples and then was daunted by the task of further refining their preference when faced with an overwhelming selection. Few people really need jam, and the researchers hypothesized that social pressure and time constraints push people to continue their regularly planned shopping. The event seemed more special when fewer samples were offered, resulting in a greater sales conversion. So how does this apply to the JW Marriott lobby bar? The giant poster of margaritas draws individuals in, but how quickly do they go from being amused by the novelty to getting overwhelmed or just losing interest and going on with their vacation? Even if they do choose a drink, how much time would a normal person spend reading 150 drink descriptions? Yes, I'm incredibly aware that I am not normal. So, is having a bar menu with 150 margaritas a good thing? Probably, but not necessarily for the reason of having more choices. It becomes a novelty and something that grabs your attention and is even newsworthy, gaining earned media coverage from random guys like me making videos about their menu. But is 150 special? Would they get less coverage if the menu had 125 margaritas? Or would there be fewer sales if they expanded to 200 margaritas? Probably not. I would even argue that most of their sales aren't from this margarita menu itself, even though I don't have any data to back that up. If I were starting a bar, an extensive menu and selection of unique recipes and bottles would be great, but I'd focus on a few other tactics to really drive sales. If you're interested, let me know in the comments, and I may consider doing a couple other videos on how to create the ideal bar sales environment using behavioral economics concepts. Focusing just on choice, creating a specialty menu of choices that could include a few items covering your major spirit types would probably be ideal. The JW Marriott bar actually has a shorter menu of their non-tequila featured cocktails, and some of our favorites came from this list, like the cucumber gin martini with rosemary syrup. You want to offer options, but keep it simple. Even if you have 150 margaritas, I would focus on 5 or 6 each day to encourage trial and make it more special, even if all those other margaritas were available daily. If you go to a restaurant with a full bar and they say, "Oh, our bartenders are great, they can do anything. What would you like to order?" Chances are, faced with overwhelming opportunity, you just default back to your usual. You become less exploratory. From the bar's perspective, driving consumer delight, surprise, and satisfaction, creating a features or special menu encourages people to try something new and avoids the mental strain of thinking of something from an infinite world of cocktails or just asking the bartender to make them something good. I mean, if you're on vacation and looking at a list of margaritas, the last thing you probably want to do right then is think. Structure your menu and communication to avoid a situation where your customers are overwhelmed and just opt out or get their usual. So what do you think? Was this surprising? If you run a business, how would you adjust your approach to drive sales while increasing customer satisfaction? If you're a regular Joe Margarita, what would you do? Would you be more likely to try a new margarita from a shorter list? Or do you love the thrill of endless options? Let me know in the comments and like and subscribe and all that. Thanks so much for watching. I know you have an overwhelming choice in videos, and I appreciate you choosing to spend your time with me. Cheers.